At Christmas dinner, my dad said, "You're a burden. You can't live with us anymore." When I packed up and told them I'd stop paying the bills, my dad, at first, I thought I misheard. My mom gave this nervous laugh like maybe he was joking, but he just sat there staring at me, waiting for my reaction. The room went silent. My sister Hannah froze, her fork halfway to her mouth. She looked at me with wide eyes like she couldn't believe what she just heard. I swallowed the piece of ham I was chewing and put my fork down. "What? You heard me," he said. "You're no longer welcome here. You need to move out." I just sat there trying to process. I'm 23, have a steady job, could have moved out years ago, but I stayed because they needed me. I paid the electric bill, the internet, groceries most weeks, things they couldn't afford because my dad had been unemployed for years and my mom only worked part-time. I wasn't a burden. I was the reason the lights were still on in that house. And now, out of nowhere, I was being kicked out like some useless freeloader. Mom finally spoke up. "Maybe we should talk about this later." But Dad interrupted. "No, this is my house. I make the rules and I say he's done here." Hannah put down her fork. She was only 16, and I could tell she was scared. She stared at our parents like she didn't even recognize them. If they could throw me out so easily, what did that mean for her? I took a deep breath. I wasn't going to argue or beg. If they wanted me out, fine. But they weren't ready for what that really meant. I leaned back in my chair. "All right," I said. My dad sat up straighter like he'd won some imaginary battle. My mom still looked uncomfortable, but she didn't say anything. Maybe she was in shock, or maybe she just didn't care as much as I thought. I stood up, grabbed my plate, and carried it to the sink. I didn't want to give them the reaction they wanted. Instead, I looked at Hannah, who was still sitting there, tense and confused. I gave her a small nod. She was the only one at that table I still cared about. Dad took a sip of his drink like nothing had happened. Mom went back to picking at her mashed potatoes. Hannah kept looking at me like she wanted to say something, but she didn't. I didn't stay to finish dinner, just walked out. I went straight to my room, closed the door, and started packing. I wasn't going to waste time trying to understand why they were doing this. If they wanted me gone, I was gone. But that also meant they'd lose everything I'd been paying for, and I wasn't going to warn them. I packed in silence, but I could hear them talking downstairs. My mom's voice was low and scared. My dad's was firm, like he was trying to convince her of something. I caught bits and pieces. "He's old enough. We can handle it. He should have moved out years ago." An hour later, there was a knock on my door. I opened it and Hannah slipped inside, quickly shutting the door behind her. Her eyes were red and puffy. She'd been crying. "Are you really leaving?" she whispered. "Yeah," I said. "I don't have much choice. Can I come with you?" That broke my heart. "You're 16. They'd call the cops, but the second you turn 18, my door's open." She hugged me tight. "I hate them for this." "Don't," I said. "Just remember who was here for you." I left that night. Didn't say goodbye to them. Just grabbed my stuff and drove to a friend's place. 3 days later, my phone exploded. "Mom, the power company is threatening to shut us off. Can you call them?" "Dad, you need to pay your share of the bills." I stared at the messages for a long time. Then I texted back. "I don't live there anymore, remember?" And I blocked them both. 2 weeks later, Hannah called from a friend's phone. Her voice was shaky. "The internet's gone. The power was off for 2 days until Mom borrowed money from Grandma. They can't afford groceries. Dad's fighting with Mom, constantly blaming her for everything. I'm sorry you have to deal with this," I said. She was quiet for a moment. Then she whispered, "I found papers in Dad's room. Legal documents with your name on them." "What kind of documents?" "Something about Grandpa's inheritance. The one he left you before he died. My grandfather had passed 2 years ago. I knew he'd left me something, but Dad said it was tied up in legal issues and I'd get it eventually. I'd trusted him to handle it." "Hannah, what did the papers say?" Her voice cracked. "Dad forged your signature. He transferred everything into his name 6 months ago, over $80,000. That's why he kicked you out now, so you wouldn't find out." The room started spinning. My own father had stolen from me, then thrown me out to cover his tracks. I took pictures of everything, but he just came into my room and I heard a crash, Hannah screaming, and then my dad's voice yelling something I couldn't make out. The line went dead. I tried calling back immediately. Nothing. Tried 3 more times, straight to voicemail. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold my phone. I grabbed my keys and drove straight to the house, doing 85 inches of 55 zone. Didn't care if I got pulled over. When I got there 40 minutes later, all the lights were off except Hannah's bedroom window. I pounded on the front door. No answer. I went around back and tried that door. Locked. I could hear yelling inside but couldn't make out the words. I used the key I still had. Yeah, I never gave it back. The house was dark except for the glow from upstairs. I took the stairs 2 at a time and found Hannah's door closed. I could hear my dad on the other side, voice raised. "You had no right to go through my things. No right. You stole from him," Hannah was crying. "You're a thief. That money was mine. Your grandfather promised it to me, not him. I just corrected a mistake." I opened the door without knocking. Hannah was backed into the corner of her room, phone smashed on the floor. My dad stood in the middle, face red, still in his stained work shirt he'd probably been wearing for 3 days. He turned when he heard me. For a second, something like fear crossed his face. Then it was gone, replaced by anger. "Get out of my house." "Not without Hannah." I kept my voice level. "She's my daughter. You have no say here. And that was my inheritance, the one you stole." Mom appeared in the doorway behind me, looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. "Please, both of you, can we just talk about this calmly?" "There's nothing to talk about," I said, eyes still on my dad. "Hannah, get your things. You're coming with me." "She's not going anywhere." Dad stepped between us. "I'm calling the police then, right now, and I'm showing them the evidence of fraud Hannah photographed." That stopped him. His jaw worked like he was chewing something tough. "You wouldn't." "Try me." Hannah moved fast. She grabbed a backpack from her closet and started shoving clothes into it. Mom made a weak sound of protest but didn't move to stop her. "This is kidnapping," Dad said. "No, this is me keeping my sister safe from someone who destroys phones and corners teenage girls in their rooms. That's called menacing, by the way." I looked it up on the drive over. I hadn't, but he didn't know that. Hannah zipped her bag and moved to my side. She was trembling. "Hannah, honey, please," Mom finally spoke. "We can work this out. Your father just got upset. He didn't mean. He smashed my phone because I found proof he's a criminal." Hannah's voice was stronger now. "I'm done." We left. Dad didn't try to stop us, just stood there breathing hard. Mom followed us down the stairs, pleading, but not actually saying anything that mattered. Just variations of please and we're family. In my car, Hannah started crying for real. Big, shaking sobs. I drove to a 24-hour diner and parked. Let her cry it out while I sat there trying to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do next. "I'm sorry," she finally said. "I shouldn't have looked through his stuff, but I was trying to find the checkbook because Mom asked me to, and I saw your name, and you have nothing to apologize for. He's the one who should be sorry. Do you really think he forged your signature?" "Yeah, I do. Grandpa specifically told me that money was for my future, for a house or business or whatever I needed. Dad always resented that." We sat in that parking lot until 2 a.m., talking through everything. I showed her my bank account on my phone. The $11,000 I'd saved up working overtime and living like a broke college student even though I had a decent job at a medical supply warehouse. "That's enough for both of us?" she asked. "For a little while. I'll figure it out." That night we stayed at my friend's place. He and his girlfriend let Hannah take their couch while I crashed on the floor. The next morning, I called a lawyer, a guy named Jeffrey Ross who handled estates and fraud cases. His secretary said he could see me that afternoon. I brought the photos Hannah had taken, printed them out at a FedEx. Jeffrey was maybe 50, gray at the temples, office that smelled like old books and coffee. He looked at the documents for a long time. "This is pretty clear forgery," he said finally. "Your signature here and here, they're not even close to matching. Did your father have access to anything with your real signature? Old tax returns, maybe? I lived there until a few weeks ago. That would do it. People think forging a signature is hard, but if you have samples and a steady hand, it's easier than you'd think." He set the papers down. "Here's the situation. You can file a police report for fraud and identity theft. With this evidence, they'll likely investigate, but that means your father will be arrested and prosecuted." "Good. I need you to understand what you're signing up for. This will destroy whatever relationship remains with your parents. Your mother will likely have to testify. This becomes public record. Your family's financial situation gets examined. Are you prepared for that?" I thought about Christmas dinner, about living in that house for 23 years, paying their bills, being treated like I was worthless, about Hannah's smashed phone on her bedroom floor. "Yeah, I'm prepared." Jeffrey nodded. "Then let's do this right. I'll also file a civil suit to recover the funds. The criminal case will take time, but the civil one, we can move faster on that, especially with evidence this clear." I signed the paperwork, paid his retainer fee, $2,500 that made my stomach hurt, left his office feeling like I'd just stepped off a cliff. The police report was filed the next day. A detective named Morris took my statement, looked at the photos, asked a bunch of questions about my relationship with my father, whether there was a history of abuse. I told him the truth. Emotional and verbal, yeah. Physical, no. "We'll be in touch," Morris said. "This kind of case, financial fraud between family members, it takes time to build. but you've got good documentation. That helps. 2 days later, my dad was arrested at the house. Hannah heard about it from one of her friends whose mom was the neighborhood gossip. He made bail within 6 hours, posted by my mom using money borrowed from her sister. My phone started blowing up again, this time from extended family. Aunts, uncles, cousins I barely knew, all with the same basic message. How could you do this to your father? Family doesn't call the cops on family. You're tearing everyone apart over money. I blocked them all. The only one I responded to was my Uncle Raymond, my mom's older brother. He'd always been decent to me. His message was different. Your mom called crying. She says you had your dad arrested. I told her if he stole from you, he deserves whatever happens. But she's asking if we can talk. Just you and me. No pressure. We met at a coffee shop. Raymond was a big guy, ex-military, ran his own plumbing business. He ordered black coffee and got straight to it. Did he really forge documents? I showed him the photos on my phone. He looked at them for a long time. Son of a bitch, he muttered. I knew he was having money problems, but I didn't think he'd go this far. He kicked me out so I wouldn't find out. Raymond rubbed his face. Your mom's a mess. She's saying she didn't know anything about it. Do you believe her? He was quiet. Honestly, I don't know. She's my sister, but she's got this way of not seeing what she doesn't want to see. It's possible he kept her in the dark. It's also possible she knew and convinced herself it was okay somehow. Hannah's staying with me now. Yeah, I heard. CPS been called yet? That hit me like cold water. What? Your parents still have custody of a minor. You took her without permission. I'm surprised they haven't reported it already. She left willingly. He destroyed her phone and cornered her in her room. I believe you, but legally it's complicated. You might want to talk to your lawyer about that too. I called Jeffrey from the parking lot. He confirmed what Raymond said. Technically, what I'd done could be considered custodial interference, even though Hannah was 16 and came willingly. Best case scenario, your parents don't push it because they don't want more attention on their situation, Jeffrey said. Worst case, they report you and this gets messier. You might want to look into emergency custody or have Hannah file for emancipation. That weekend, I took Hannah to a family law attorney Jeffrey recommended. Her name was Victoria Chen. She explained that emancipation was possible but required proof Hannah could support herself financially. At 16, that was basically impossible. The other option is filing for guardianship, Victoria said. But your parents would have to consent or be proven unfit, given that there's already a criminal case involving your father and an incident of destroyed property and intimidation involving Hannah. We might have grounds. How long does that take? Months, typically. In the meantime, I'd document everything. Keep Hannah in school, make sure her basic needs are met, maintain a stable home environment. If CPS does get involved, you want to show you're the better option. We left her office with more paperwork and another retainer fee. My savings were getting demolished, but I didn't see another choice. Monday morning, I got a call from Hannah's school. She'd been marked absent for 3 days, and they needed to know why. She's been dealing with a family emergency, I said. She'll be back tomorrow. And who am I speaking with? Her brother. She's staying with me temporarily. I see. We'll need documentation of guardianship to update our records and excuse the absences. Working on it. That night, Hannah admitted she was scared to go back to school. Half her friends' parents knew her parents. Small town, everybody talks. She didn't want to deal with questions or judgment. You can't hide forever, I told her. And you need to graduate. That's not optional. She went back Tuesday. Came home that afternoon looking exhausted. Everyone knows, she said. Dad was arrested. You filed charges. I'm living with you. The guidance counselor pulled me aside and asked if I was safe and if I needed to talk to someone. What did you tell her? That I'm safer now than I was. The criminal case moved slowly. Detective Morris kept me updated. They'd seized financial records from my dad's house, found other irregularities. Apparently, my inheritance wasn't the only questionable thing he'd done. There were credit cards in my name I never opened. Small amounts, but enough to establish a pattern. He's been using your identity for about 3 years, Morris told me. Nothing huge. A card here, a loan there, but it adds up. We're building a stronger case than we initially thought. My dad hired a public defender, couldn't afford a private attorney. The irony wasn't lost on me. That $80,000 he stole was already gone. Spent on what? I never found out. Probably paying off debts he'd racked up living beyond his means while unemployed. The preliminary hearing was set for 6 weeks out. Jeffrey said the civil case would move parallel to the criminal one, but we'd likely see results faster there. In the meantime, life got weird. I was 23, working full-time, and suddenly responsible for a teenager. Hannah needed school supplies, clothes that actually fit, food that wasn't ramen and frozen pizza. My friend and his girlfriend were cool about her staying on their couch, but it wasn't sustainable. I started apartment hunting. Found a 2-bedroom place that was barely affordable but would work. Paid first, last, and security deposit. Watched my savings drop to $3,000. Tried not to panic. We moved in on a Saturday. Hannah's entire life fit in 4 boxes and 2 trash bags. She cried when she saw her room. It was empty, except for an air mattress I'd bought and a lamp from Walmart, but it was hers. "We'll get you real furniture," I promised. "Just need a few more paychecks." "This is more than enough," she said. That first week in the apartment was hard. Hannah had nightmares. I heard her crying through the thin walls at 2 a.m. but didn't know what to do. I'd never been responsible for another person like this. I started researching. Read articles about helping teens cope with trauma and family disruption. Learned I was supposed to maintain routines, provide stability, maybe look into therapy. All things that cost time and money I didn't have much of, but I tried. Made sure she had breakfast before school. Helped with homework I barely understood myself. Let her pick what we watched on Netflix, even though her taste in shows was terrible. She started opening up more. Told me about things I'd never known. How Dad would go into her room when he was angry and throw things around, not at her, but near her, to scare her. How Mom would make her lie to relatives about why they needed to borrow money. How they'd fight about me, about whether kicking me out was the right move, and Dad would always win. He said you were holding him back, Hannah told me one night. That once you were gone, he could finally get his life together without you draining the family resources. Did you believe that? No, I knew you were the only reason we had anything. The preliminary hearing came. I had to testify about my grandfather's will, my relationship with my dad, the discovery of the forged documents. My dad sat there in a cheap suit, looking smaller than I remembered, wouldn't make eye contact. His public defender argued that it was a misunderstanding, that my grandfather had verbally promised my dad the money, and my dad had just formalized what he believed were his father's true wishes. Jeffrey tore that apart, showed the will explicitly naming me, showed the forged signature that didn't match samples of my real signature, showed the timing, how the transfer happened right before my dad kicked me out. The judge bound it over for trial, set a date 4 months out. In the civil case, things moved faster. Jeffrey filed for summary judgment, basically asking the judge to rule without a trial because the facts were so clear. My dad's lawyer opposed it, but weakly. 2 months after I'd filed charges, I got a call from Jeffrey. "We won the civil case. Judge ruled in your favor. Your father has to return the full amount plus interest and attorney fees." "How's he supposed to do that? He doesn't have it." "That's his problem. We can put a lien on the house, garnish wages once he gets a job. There are options. But legally, you've won." It felt hollow. I'd won, but I'd also lost my family. My mom hadn't spoken to me since Hannah left. Extended family still thought I was the villain, and I had a teenager depending on me when I was barely keeping my own head above water. The money started coming back in payments. Small amounts, $200 here, $300 there, garnished from Mom's part-time paycheck since Dad still hadn't found work. It would take years to get it all back this way. But then, something unexpected happened. The house sold. Apparently they couldn't keep up with the mortgage without my contributions, and Dad's legal fees had buried them. They sold for $180,000, paid off what they owed on the mortgage, and had about $40,000 left. Jeffrey moved fast. Got a court order to seize enough to cover what my dad owed me. I got a check for $82,347. The full amount plus interest and legal fees, all at once. I stared at that check for an hour before depositing it. It was more money than I'd ever seen. It was also everything my grandfather had wanted me to have, 2 years late, and only because I'd had to sue my own father for it. Hannah and I went furniture shopping that weekend. Got her a real bed, a desk, a dresser, got myself more than an air mattress, bought groceries without checking prices. It felt surreal. "Grandpa would be happy you got it," Hannah said while we were building her desk. "He always said you were the smart one, the one who'd do something with your life. I'm a warehouse worker living in a shitty apartment. You're 23 and you're taking care of me. You stood up to Dad when no one else would. That's something." The criminal trial was still coming. My dad took a plea deal a week before it was scheduled to start. Pled guilty to fraud and identity theft. Got 3 years probation, community service, and a permanent record. No jail time. The prosecutor said it was typical for first-time white-collar offenses with family victims. I was pissed, but there was nothing I could do about it. Mom called me after the sentencing. First time I'd heard her voice in 4 months. "Are you happy now?" she asked. "You've destroyed your father's life. He destroyed his own life when he stole from me. That money should have been his. Your grandfather never appreciated what your father did for him. Grandpa left it to me in his will, in writing, legal and clear. You could have handled this privately, within the family. Instead, you humiliated us publicly. He kicked me out to hide what he'd done. He cornered Hannah and smashed her phone. I handled it exactly how it needed to be handled. She was quiet for a moment. I'm moving to Virginia to live with my sister. The house is sold. Your father's staying with a friend. I don't know what will happen to us. What about Hannah? She made her choice. Then she hung up. Hannah took it hard. She'd been holding on to some hope that Mom would come around, would choose her. Now that hope was gone. I don't understand how she can just leave, Hannah said. I'm her daughter. Some people can't admit when they're wrong, so they double down and blame everyone else. Do you think she'll ever talk to us again? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not, but we're okay without them. 6 months after Christmas dinner, I sat down and looked at where things stood. I had about $65,000 in the bank after buying furniture, covering legal fees, and building an emergency fund. Hannah was doing okay in school, seeing a therapist once a week that insurance mostly covered. I'd gotten a promotion to shift supervisor at the warehouse. We weren't rich. We weren't even comfortable yet, but we were stable, and more importantly, we were free. Hannah turned 17 inches March. I took her to a nice restaurant. Nothing fancy, but nicer than Applebee's. She ordered steak and actually smiled. Really smiled, for the first time in a while. Thank you, she said, for everything, for not leaving me there. You're my sister. That's what family actually means. A year after Christmas dinner, I got a Facebook message from my mom. Just 3 words. How is Hannah? I stared at it for a day before responding. She's good. Honor roll. Thinking about colleges. She's safe and happy. Mom didn't respond. But 2 weeks later, a card came in the mail addressed to Hannah. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting. Inside was $100 and a note. For your birthday. I'm sorry. Love, Mom. Hannah cried when she opened it. Then, she put it in her desk drawer and didn't talk about it. I didn't push her. Some wounds don't heal just because someone says sorry. These days, life is normal. Boring, even. Hannah's a senior now, applying to state schools. I'm still at the warehouse, but I've been putting money into a college fund for her. We have movie nights on Fridays. She complains about her teachers. I complain about my coworkers. We eat too much takeout and argue about whose turn it is to clean the bathroom. It's not the family I grew up with, but it's the family we built, and it's better than anything I had before. Sometimes I think about Christmas dinner, about that moment when my dad told me I was a burden and needed to leave. Part of me will always be hurt by that, but another part is grateful. Because if he hadn't kicked me out, I never would have found out what he'd done. I'd still be living in that house, paying their bills, being their backup plan. Instead, I'm here, free, with a sister who knows someone actually chose her. And maybe that's worth more than $80,000 or a relationship with parents who never really valued me anyway. Last month, Hannah asked if she could invite friends over. I said yes. They came over, ordered pizza, watched movies too loud. I heard them laughing through my bedroom door. One of her friends asked who I was, and Hannah said, "That's my brother. He's basically raised me for the past year and a half." "Cool," the friend said. "He seems nice." "He is," Hannah replied. "He's the best person I know." I stood in the hallway listening and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Pride. Not in myself, really. In us. In what we'd become despite everything. The inheritance my grandfather left me wasn't just money. It was a chance. A way out. A foundation to build something better. And yeah, I had to fight my own father in court to get it. Had to blow up what was left of my family. Had to learn how to be a guardian to a teenager when I was barely an adult myself. But I'd do it again. Every time. Because some things are worth fighting for, and sometimes, the family you make is better than the family you were born into. Update 2 months later. So, a lot has happened since my last update. Enough that people have been DMing me asking for news. Here's where things stand. Hannah got into 3 state universities. Full ride to one of them based on her grades and her personal essay about overcoming family trauma. She cried when she got the acceptance letter. Happy tears this time. She's leaving in August. I'm proud of her, but the apartment's going to feel empty. As for me, I used part of the inheritance money to enroll in community college. Night classes. I'm working toward an associate's degree in business management. Maybe I'll run my own warehouse someday. Maybe something else. But I'm finally doing something for myself. The weirdest development came 3 weeks ago. I got a letter from my dad. Actually mailed, not texted or emailed. Handwritten. 3 pages. It was mostly bullshit. Excuses about his unemployment, his stress, his desperation. How he'd convinced himself he deserved that money because he'd taken care of his father at the end while I was off living my life. But buried in the 3rd page was something that felt real. I was jealous of you. Your grandfather always liked you better. Talked about you constantly. Left you money he never offered me. I worked for that man for 20 years and he still chose you. I know that doesn't excuse what I did. I know I destroyed our family. But I need you to understand that it wasn't just about money. It was about feeling like I mattered to him and realizing I never did. I read that letter 5 times, trying to figure out if I felt bad for him. I didn't. Understanding why someone hurt you doesn't mean you have to forgive them. My dad's jealousy and insecurity weren't my problem. He made his choices. I made mine. I didn't respond to the letter, but I didn't throw it away either. I put it in a box with all the legal documents from the case. Maybe someday I'll want to remember how it all went down. Maybe not. Hannah saw it on the counter before I put it away. "Did you read it?" she asked. "Yeah." "Are you going to write back?" "No." She nodded. "Good. He doesn't deserve it." We ordered Chinese food that night. Hannah told me about her boyfriend, this kid from her calculus class who wants to be an engineer. I pretended to be stern about it, but she just laughed. "You're not Dad," she said. "You don't get to do the scary protective brother thing. Watch me try." She smiled. "You know what's funny? When I think about family now, I think about you, not them. It's like they're people I used to know, and you're the person who matters." "You're the person who matters to me too," I said. And I meant it. We've been through hell. We've lost a lot. But we've gained something too. Something real. Something that isn't based on obligation or genetics or guilt. It's based on showing up, on making hard choices, on protecting each other when no one else would. That's family, the real kind. Final update, 1 year later. It's been almost 3 years since Christmas dinner. Since my dad told me I was a burden and my life split into before and after. Hannah's finishing her sophomore year of college. She's studying psychology, says she wants to help kids from messed up families. She comes home on breaks. We video chat every Sunday. She's got a serious boyfriend now, the engineering student. I met him at Thanksgiving. He seems decent, treats her well. I finished my associate's degree, applied to a university program for business management. Got in. I'm starting in the fall. Working full-time and going to school, but I've been doing that for 2 years now. I can handle it. The apartment doesn't feel empty anymore. I got used to living alone. Kind of like it, actually. I went on a few dates. Nothing serious yet. Turns out having your family implode and sue your father makes for complicated dinner conversation. But I'm not in a hurry. 3 months ago, I got another letter from my dad. This one was shorter, just a few lines. "I'm working again. Warehouse job, like you. The irony isn't lost on me. I'm paying back everyone I owe, slowly. Your mother and I are divorced. She's still in Virginia. I don't know if I'll ever fix what I broke, but I want you to know I think about it every day. I think about you and Hannah every day." I still didn't respond. But something in me shifted when I read it. Not forgiveness. I'm not there. Maybe I'll never be. But I realized I wasn't angry anymore. Anger takes energy. It keeps you connected to the person you're angry at. And I didn't want to be connected to him anymore. I wanted to be free, so I let it go. Not the memory, not the lessons I learned, but the active anger, the constant loop of what he did and what I lost. I let it go, Hannah noticed. "You seem different," she said over winter break. "Lighter." "Yeah," I said. "I think I'm finally okay." Because of Dad's letter? Because I realized his guilt isn't mine to carry. I did what I had to do. He did what he chose to do. And now we both have to live with it. She was quiet. Then she said, "I got a letter from Mom." That surprised me. "When?" 2 weeks ago. She wants to meet. Says she's been in therapy. Says she understands now that she failed us. Do you want to meet her? I don't know. Part of me wants to hear her out. Part of me thinks it's too late. It's your choice. Whatever you decide, I'll support you. She ended up meeting Mom at a coffee shop near campus. I didn't go. She called me after. "How was it?" "Weird. She looks older. She cried a lot. Apologized for choosing Dad over us. Said she was scared and didn't know what to do." "Do you believe her?" "I think she believes it. I don't know if that's the same thing. Are you going to see her again?" "Maybe, but not anytime soon. She doesn't get to just come back because she's sorry. I was proud of her for that. For knowing her worth. For not accepting scraps of affection from someone who'd thrown her away. Last week, I drove past my old neighborhood. The house sold again, new family living there now. I didn't feel anything looking at it. No nostalgia, no anger. It was just a house where some stuff happened once. I kept driving. That night, I sat down and finally let myself think about what I'd want to say to my dad if I ever saw him again. Not in anger, just truth. I'd tell him that he taught me what kind of man not to be. He taught me that blood doesn't make you family, choices do. He taught me that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from people who hurt you, even if they're your parents. I'd tell him that I'm okay now, that Hannah's okay, that we built something good from the mess he left behind, and I'd tell him that I hope he finds peace. But I don't need to be part of that process. Then, I'd walk away, and I wouldn't look back. But I haven't seen him, and honestly, I probably never will. That chapter is closed. These days, I'm focused on what's ahead, on my degree, on my future, on being there for Hannah as she builds her life, on maybe, eventually, building a family of my own, one based on respect and honesty and actually showing up. Because that's what I learned from all of this. Family isn't who you're born to, it's who you choose, who chooses you, who stays when things get hard. Hannah chose me, I chose her, and that's enough. Sometimes people ask if I regret how things went down, if I wish I'd handled it differently, if I think I should have tried to work it out privately instead of involving lawyers and police. The answer is no. My dad committed fraud. He stole from me. He kicked me out to hide it. He destroyed Hannah's phone and cornered her in her room. Those aren't things you work out over family dinner. Those are crimes, and they had consequences. I did what I had to do to protect myself and my sister. I'd do it again, every single time. Because some things matter more than keeping the peace, more than maintaining appearances, more than pretending everything's fine when it's not. Things like truth and justice and protecting the people who depend on you. 3 years ago, at Christmas dinner, my dad called me a burden. He was wrong. I wasn't the burden. His lies were. His theft was. His jealousy and insecurity were. And once I walked away from all of that, once I stopped carrying weight that was never mine to carry, I finally got to find out who I actually am. I'm a college student, a warehouse supervisor, a brother, a fighter, a survivor. I'm someone who knows what it costs to stand up for yourself, and I'm someone who knows it's worth it. That's my story. That's what happened when my dad called me a burden and I decided to stop being one. I walked away. I fought back. I protected my sister, and I built a life worth living. And if you're reading this because you're in a similar situation, because your family is hurting you or using you or stealing from you, I want you to know something. You're not the burden. You never were, and you deserve better. So take it. Fight for it. Walk away if you have to. Build something new, because you're worth it. And sometimes, the best revenge is simply refusing to carry someone else's dysfunction on your back anymore. Be free. Be strong. And remember that the family you choose is just as valid as the family you were born into. Maybe more so. Update, 2 years later, the complete end. I'm 28 now. Hannah's 23, graduated college last month with honors. She's got a job lined up at a youth counseling center. She's engaged to that engineering student, Garrett. The wedding's next spring. She asked me to walk her down the aisle. I cried when she asked. Happy tears. I got my bachelor's degree, working as an operations manager now at a different company. Better pay, better hours. I bought a small house, 2 bedrooms, fenced yard. It's mine, all mine. I'm dating someone. Her name's Iris. She's a teacher, funny and smart, and she doesn't take my shit. She knows my whole story. Didn't run away. That means something. My dad reached out again 6 months ago, asked if we could talk. I thought about it for a week. Then I said yes. We met at a park, neutral ground. He looked old, gray hair, deep lines around his eyes, thinner than I remembered. We sat on a bench and didn't talk for 5 minutes. Just sat there. Finally, he said, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve it. No, you don't. I want you to know I've paid back everyone I owed. Your money, the credit cards I opened in your name, everything. It took 3 years, but it's done. Okay, I'm in therapy, trying to understand why I did what I did. My therapist says I have issues with inadequacy and control, that I took out my failures on you because you represented everything I wasn't. I looked at him, really looked, and I saw a broken man who destroyed his own life because he couldn't handle his emotions like an adult. I can't give you absolution, I said. That's not mine to give. I know. You stole from me. You threw me out. You scared Hannah. Those are facts. Therapy doesn't erase them. I know, he said again. But I don't hate you anymore. I don't feel much of anything when I think about you. And maybe that's the best we'll ever get. He nodded, tears in his eyes. You turned out good, despite me. Because of you. Because of me, I agreed. We talked for another hour, not about reconciliation, just about facts. Where we were, what we were doing, surface level stuff. When we left, he asked if we could do it again sometime. Maybe, I said, but don't expect things to go back to how they were. That family is gone, dead. If we build something new, it'll be on my terms. I understand. I haven't seen him since. But he texts sometimes, just small things. Hope you're doing well, proud of your accomplishments. He never asks for more than I'm willing to give. Hannah hasn't seen him, doesn't want to, and I respect that. Mom's still in Virginia. Hannah sees her maybe twice a year. It's cordial but distant. Mom never apologized in a way that mattered, just said sorry and expected that to fix everything. It didn't. But Hannah's okay with it. She's not waiting for her mother to become someone she's not. Last week, I was helping Hannah move into her new apartment, the one she'll share with Garrett after the wedding. We were unpacking boxes and I found a photo album I'd never seen. Inside were pictures from our childhood, birthdays, holidays, random days, and in every single one where I was in the frame, I was in the background, out of focus, half cut off. Hannah saw me looking. "That's why I never showed you," she said. "Even in the pictures, they made you invisible." I closed the album. "I'm not invisible anymore." "No," she smiled. "You're not." We finished unpacking, ordered pizza, sat on her new couch in her new apartment in her new life. "You know what's funny?" she said. "I used to be so scared of ending up like Mom and Dad, broken and bitter and blaming everyone else for my problems. You're nothing like them. Because of you, you showed me what it looks like to choose yourself, to set boundaries, to build something better. You did that," I said. "I just didn't abandon you. That's everything, though. You didn't abandon me. When you could have, when it would have been easier. You stayed." I hugged my sister, my brilliant, strong, incredible sister who survived the same house I did and came out fighting. "Always," I said. "I'll always stay."